Good evening. I'm talking tonight to Sir Arthur Grebe Streebling. Actually, that's not quite true. Not true? Totally incorrect, in fact. The person to whom you're talking is Sir Arthur Grebe. You're confusing me with Sir Arthur Grebe Streebling. Oh, I'm so sorry. Quite all right. My name is Grebe. The Z is silent, as in fox. I'm so sorry. I would ask you, Sir Arthur, something about your rather unusual restaurant, the Frog and Peach. Well, this seems like an ideal opportunity, really. What with me being here and you being here also? Well, yes, it is. It's a wonderful opportunity. Seize it. I certainly will. Well, perhaps you could tell us something about your restaurant, the Frog and Peach, Sir Arthur. How, in fact, did the idea come to you for this rather unusual eatery? Aha, I see. You're asking me to tell you how, in fact, the idea came to me. Well, yes, I am. The idea for the Frog and Peach came to me in the bath. My bath is in the garden. So a lot of things come to me in the bath, mainly mosquitoes, newts, frogs, of course, and a wide variety of waterfowl. But on this occasion, what came to me was a unique and rather stunning idea. I suddenly thought to myself, where could a young couple go, not too much money to spend, feeling a bit hungry, a bit peckish, wanting something to eat, where can they go and get stuck into a really big frog? Yes, a really big frog. And a damn fine peach. Where could they go? Where indeed, Sir Arthur? Where could they go? Of course, the answer was nowhere. So on that premise, I founded this restaurant. On that premise, and on that premises, in fact. On those precise premises, yes. I founded the Frog and Peach. And how long ago did you start this venture? I think I can honestly say, with my hand on my heart, or any other part of my anatomy, that I have never stratted this venture. Indeed, I have never knowingly stratted anything in my life. I think what you meant to ask me was, where did I start this venture? Oh, my mistake entirely. Silly misprint. So, when did you start this venture? Ah, I see. You are asking me to tell you when did I start this venture? Yes, indeed. Ah, well, that's a tricky one. Certainly within living memory. Good. I believe it was shortly after the World War II. Do you remember that, the Second World War? Yes, certainly. Ghastly business. Oh, yes. Absolutely ghastly business. Yes, indeed. I was completely against it. Well, I think we all were. Ah, yes, but I wrote a letter. Well, getting back to the Frog and Peach. How has business been? Aha, I see. Now you're asking me to tell you, how has business been? Yes, how has business been? Let me answer that question in 3 parts. First, business hasn't been. Second, there hasn't been any business. Third, what business there might have been has been and gone. The last 50 years have been rather a lean time for us up at the old F&P. But you have had at least some customers, surely? Only once, about 20 years ago. Bamber Gascoigne, remember him, Bamber Gascoigne? Bamber Gascoigne came to the Frog and Peach with 9 other people for dinner. I showed him the menu, asked him what he wanted for the main course, and he said, We don't want a main course, we just want a starter for 10. Damn cheek. I soon showed him the door. As it turned out, he was very interested indoors, remarkably knowledgeable, said ours was made from prehistoric bog oak. Well, don't you feel that you're a slight disadvantage being stuck out here in the middle of a bog, in the heart of the Yorkshire moors? Do you know, I think the word disadvantage is awfully well chosen here. Yes, this is precisely what we're at. A disadvantage. Stuck out here in the middle of a bog, in the heart of the Yorkshire moors, we suffer an overwhelming disadvantage. But I thought at the time, rightly or wrongly, possibly both, you know, the impetuous idealism of youth, that people in this country were crying out for a restaurant with a parking problem. Without a parking problem. And here, in the middle of a bog, in the heart of the Yorkshire moors, there is absolutely no problem parking the car. No. And a little difficulty extricating the car from the bog. But the parking itself is magnificent. Yes, it is magnificent parking. Yes, indeed. Wonderful parking. Yes, yes. But don't you feel you're also at a disadvantage with regard to your menu? Oh, yes, yes. We're at a tremendous disadvantage with regards to the menu. Why should that be, I wonder? Have you seen the menu? Very briefly. That's the only way to see it. I mean, the choice is so limited. We have such a limited choice. There are only 2 main dishes to choose from. So there is significant, how should I put this, limitation of choice. What are the 2 dishes of which you speak? Blast, I knew that was going to be the question. Oh dear, I should know this by heart after 50 years. Oh yes. First of all, there is frog à la pêche. Frog à la pêche is basically a large frog covered in boiling Cointreau with a peach stuck in its mouth. It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. The only alternative to a frog à la pêche is even worse. It's pêche à la frog. For pêche à la frog is a peach. It's brought to your table by the waiter. Again, covered in boiling Cointreau. The waiter? Very often, yes. Very often the waiter is, alas, covered in boiling Cointreau. But the policy here, the policy is to aim the Cointreau unerringly at the peach. That is the policy. So that is the policy. Oh, yes, that is very much the policy. Anyway, the peach is then sliced down the middle to reveal, oh my God, about 300 squiggling black tadpoles. It's the most nauseating sight I've ever seen. It's enough to put you off your food. Quite. Which is a damn good thing considering what the food is like. Has it never occurred to you to try to enlarge the menu, to broaden its appeal by offering a wider choice of dishes? Oh, I wouldn't want to think we've been idle in the menu development department. The menu development department has seen a flurry of innovative thinking over the last 15 years. And now, after a lot of painstaking research, we're now on the cusp, on the very cusp, of introducing a new dish to the menu. Ooh, and what new delicacies can the gourmets of the Yorkshire moors now look forward to? Well, it's still a bit hush-hush, but I can tell you tonight that we shall soon be offering frog à la apricot. Frog à la apricot? Won't that engender a certain sense of déjà vu all over again? I had a premonition, you might say that, but just think of the attractions to the younger generation of diners of frog à la apricot, smaller fruit, or smaller frogs. Younger frogs, more succulent frogs, smaller portions, quality not quantity, right up there on the leading edge of nouvelle cuisine. Quite so, I'm sure, but nevertheless I must say that it would seem, at least superficially, that your restaurant lacks what most would regard as the essential conditions for success. You can say that again. I must say that it would seem, at least superficially, that your restaurant lacks what many would regard as the essential conditions for success. Well, that's as maybe. It's easy for an outsider like you to sit there and say that. But from my perspective, what's crystal clear is that the restaurant lacks what many would regard as the essential conditions for success. In fact, I would go further and say that this restaurant lacks everything. You name it, it lacks it. But I assume you don't lack a chef, at least, who does actually do the cooking. My wife, Lady Street Breeding, actually does all the cooking. Luckily, she does all the eating as well. You know, she's not a well woman. She's not a well woman? She's not a well woman, no. She's not a well woman at all. And she's very much resents having to go down the well every morning to feed the frogs. She dislikes it intensely. We have to lower her, screaming, on a rope. Get me out of here, she cries. The frogs don't like it either. Puts them off their food. Dreadful business. Absolute nightmare for all parties. Well, this is fascinating stuff, but if you don't mind my saying so, it does seem to me as if the whole venture of the Frog and Peach has been a little disastrous. Oh, I don't think I'd use the word disastrous here. No, I think catastrophic would be near the mark. The whole thing has been a total failure and a huge catastrophe. But do you feel you've learnt from your mistakes? Oh, certainly. Certainly. I have learned from my mistakes. If I had to start all over again, I'm sure I would repeat them exactly. Thank you, Sir Arthur Strebe Greebling. Grebe Streebling, actually.